Media is really going back to sleep in the last couple of days in their coverage of the Biden administration. This one might be my favorite one so far. Let's throw this up there on the screen. Washington Post fawning coverage about Joe Biden's communications team. The all-female team will instantly disrupt how journalists cover the administration at a time when men's views still typically dominate political and government coverage. Now, Ryan, I don't want to be one of those like Fox News boomers, but look, I mean, it is empirically true that the Trump team was all... I used to be a White House correspondent. Sarah Sanders, Mercedes Schlapp, Kellyanne Conway, all the top aides within the White House and the communications shop. It's just true. I mean, it was all women. And look, I don't think it made all that much of a difference. And I actually know some of the people who are tweeting out this crap who had to deal with all of these female communications aides. I just think it's completely ridiculous in order to distill it down this way. Actually, I'm sure you even have stories about having to deal with Jen Psaki herself and many of these Obama communications aides. I mean, I don't think it probably made all the difference in how vicious they were against their critics. Just the whole way that the coverage on this is happening is ridiculous.
Yeah, and Alyssa Farah, Hope Hicks, the current one whose last name is hard to pronounce.
Kelly McEnany. Yeah.
McEnany. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It's impressive that Joe Biden is following in Donald Trump's shoes and empowering women in his communications office. I hope that they hew a little bit closer to truth and reality than they did in the Trump administration. Kellyanne, famously created the alternative facts phrase early on to actually describe a blunder from one of her male colleagues, if I remember correctly. Wasn't she saying that Sean Spicer
presented alternative facts? I'll never forget that one. That was
yes. So different perspectives bring new terminology to the conversation, and the Washington lexicon certainly appreciates that one. The best we got from the Bush administration was that famous blind quote. Say you guys are part of the reality-based community, whereas we create our own reality. We had to just guess. Was that Karl Rove? Who was it? Who was it that said that? Kellyanne, to her credit, boom, she just went on television and just said it. So, this is one of the things that bothers people kind of the most about this approach to politics. It's great. We need to have more women in government. We need to have more people of color in government. But the idea that that's the beginning and the end. Is pretty well undermined by the fact that you pointed out Trump had so many women in his communications shop.
That's right. And this is what I hate about the coverage of all of this. Yesterday, right? So I talked about the National Security Cabinet. Michelle Flournoy, Jay Johnson, and Lloyd Austin. All historic firsts, right? If they were to choose for defense secretary. Woman and 2 black men. Well, both Lloyd Austin and Michelle Flournoy are advisors to a hedge fund which explicitly is raising millions and millions of dollars based on insider information. And as those people they're explicitly saying that their access to inside information is going to give them an edge in their market. And Jay Johnson is on the board of Lockheed Martin. So is anything really going to change? And it's just, we talk about this in terms of the economic team and in terms of what is being pushed there. We talk about this in every element of that government. Just because somebody is more diverse or is a woman, it does not mean they're going to change anything. I think Jimmy Dore, once said here on the show, he's like, they're breaking, he's like Gina Haspel broke a glass ceiling so she could cut somebody's throat with it in an interrogation cell. And it's a Jimmy Dore way of saying it. But the point is correct, right? Which is that if you just change things up or whatever in terms of the different look of people in charge, but they're still continuing the policies of the people that were in charge in the past, what's the difference?
Right, and it's a condemnation of the old way of doing things that there are so many first that these folks had to break through. But when you present it to people as this being the solution to their problems, they're going to get resentful. You're going to say, well, Gina Haspel was involved in the torture program. That's wonderful that there's gender diversity at the upper echelons of the intelligence community. But how about not having people that were involved in the torture program? Like let's start with there. And it's also a bit disrespectful and demeaning to women as well to suggest that you couldn't find a woman who is competent and capable of running the CIA who wasn't also part of the torture program. Because of course you can. There are millions of such women and thousands of such women who are qualified for that position that weren't involved in torture.
Yeah, completely agree. It's just, it just goes to the hollowness of the way that a lot of media are going to cover the Biden administration. And it really is just depressing, especially having covered the Trump administration, where I liked the adversarial nature of the press, and especially the White House press corps. I think that's a good thing. But to see it, just go away so quickly, really, well, we'll see, right? Anyway, we'll have more Rising for everybody right after this.